Here we go. It's the Arm the Rebels Cup, the $1,000 1v1 tournament, single elimination. And we are starting off today with Chronic versus AlphaKep. AlphaKep, you may know, he's actually played on the stream before in show matches. I think his most recent show match he played in was against Swift, the Brazilian player. And he did end up getting either a 3-0 or a 3-1 win against Swift. And I think a lot of people were surprised, but they probably shouldn't be, because AlphaKep is a very high level 1v winner. Now, that being said, he has across from him one of the best 1v1 players in all of North America. Chronic has been one of the best for a very long time. And I'm not so sure that AlphaKep stands the best of chances against Chronic. If Chronic can keep his head on his shoulders and not get tilted too much by the pressure of playing against an AlphaKep who is, I'm sure, live with many viewers ready to troll Chronic if he were to not close this one out. As long as that does not affect him, he should be fine. And Chronic is known for getting a fair amount of clips as well, as he's going to score his first of the demo and ties it up 1-1. Thank you for the 2 months of Prime, JBCFC 1014. Much appreciated. AlphaKep is going to be playing a lot of ground game and a lot of double jump bump type stuff from what I've seen in a little bit of 1v1 that I have watched of him. He has played a decent amount of 1v1s recently where he has been giving himself a goal advantage against some of the top pros. And he has done okay, but not great. He's played against Drally, Nas, Beast Mode, and First Killer. I think he's done it 4 times now. And I would have predicted him to only be able to take down Beast Mode with that extra goal advantage. And I think that's how it's gone so far. Although he has been able to grab games here and there from the best of the best in ones. But he's going to have no extra goal advantage today. And I think to have a perfectly even odds, we would probably need a little goal advantage. So I say 1 goal advantage. He gets 3 goals in these matches that he's playing per game. But he has often been able to get wins with more than just 3 goals. He beat Drally? No, he did not beat Drally in the full series. He's maybe been able to get a game here or there. And I think when I watched the Drally one was the only one I've been able to watch live. He did win maybe 1 or even 2 games by more than 3 goals. So he might have, won it outright if you don't even account for his initial positive, goal differential. But he was not able to win the full series. Chronic up 3-2 just a couple minutes into the game. Now hanging out at midfield with no boost. Chronic known for his wall to air dribble game. Something that I think he'll have a lot of success with here against AlphaKep if he can get to his spots. AlphaKep playing very passively. Chronic actually placed it pretty perfectly. This is a pretty straightforward way to attack AlphaKep. He was leaving a tiny, tiny window open on the far post, but he truly had most of the net covered. If it weren't for the off the post and in angle that Chronic was able to find, AlphaKep would likely have been able to get the save. But something to watch for, if you ask me, is to see if Chronic wins by more than 3. If this was one of AlphaKep's classic +3 scoreline games, would he be able to take him down? But there you see AlphaKep again going back to his air dribble bump whenever he gets a little bit of space. I think if Chronic can reliably save those, he is not going to have a hard time getting the dub. And right now he's got his 3-goal lead halfway through. Drally was playing keyboard in that series. I think I've heard something like that apparently he was playing KBM at the start of it. I could tell, I feel like when I was watching him initially, what a shot from AlphaKep. And I think this is what we need to see from him. A little bit too much to the double jump bump to start the series. Chronic dropping him a nice one, and I think it's well deserved. That is a good shot from Kep, forcing Chronic off the back wall and getting it past him. People often like to forget that AlphaKep was once an RLCS level pro before his streaming career. And he is going to be able to follow up this 50 with a side flip and a fourth goal. Kep rising to the skies has paid off so far. Instead of trying to go for the low double jump 50s, or I shouldn't say 50s, but bumps really. Chronic reset, trying to place perfectly into the top left of the net. AlphaKep could have gotten that hook shot with a little bit more power. Soft touch means it's going to be an easy save for Chronic, who is not going to be able to use a flip when he delays it that long. And now out of the corner, 50 results in keeping possession. AlphaKep has more than enough boost to work with, but Chronic has a great setup here, and he is just too good at scoring these. When he gets to his spot and gets the correct first couple touches, he is always going to be able to get the finish. And he's back up two. The predictions were open there for a little bit. A couple more people realizing it's maybe not quite as 98-2 or 95-5 as originally the prediction had. I do think that that was incorrect. That's probably the most one-sided prediction we've ever seen, and I'm sure at least a little bit of that is to try and just troll against AlphaKep, I'm sure. Because I would say, you know, the NAS versus J-Weights matchup is probably more of a one-sided matchup here than Chronic versus Kep over in North America. Kep trying to get a slow play started. Very patient. We talked before about players who stream during their tournament runs and how even if you don't have, you know, camera on or mic on, it can be tough. Well, Kep absolutely has camera on, mic on, and is interacting with chat the entire time and trolling with them and getting trolled by them. So it certainly affects his playstyle here in these top tournaments. And into game number one, you can count it a win for Kep because it is not going to be an over 3-goal victory for Chronic. It looks like it'll be a 2-goal win, which in the different formats would have been a win for Kep. But game number one here on this perfectly even Arm the Rebels is in favor of Chronic. Game number two. He closed the chat. That surprises me. Kep is pretty much always interacting with this chat. Kep not able to recover off the kickoff. Gonna go down quickly here, 4 seconds into game number two. Kep able to force a 50 out of Chronic on the goal line. Chronic got caught in reverse, tried to go for a backflip challenge. Not easy to do. And it results in a good opportunity for Kep, who has delayed his kickoff here in the third kickoff of the game and is taken to the skies. I liked what I saw from him before. I think he needs to do this. He needs to get creative if he wants to get past Chronic defensively. Not going to be able to just rely on double jump bump the whole way. Chaining some wall dashes together, but not much is going to come of it as he completely leaves. Allows Chronic to transition off the back wall. Nice fake challenge, though. He's going to force Chronic to flick the ball up and end up getting rid of his possession. Now Kep going to go back to his double jump bump, and this is a... Oh, maybe not. I like it. A flick instead. Chronic preparing to get up over the top of one of the classic bumps, I'm sure, but instead Kep locks and loads a flick and is up 2-1. Definitely a macro. You're talking about his wall dashing? 40-year-old man chain dashes. He obviously has been talking to AJ to get the macro. Chronic long shot. Gonna catch Kep in too deep. Kep thought he had a chance to steal the 100 boosts. Chronic on very little, just takes a long shot. Kep almost speedy enough to get back. Chaining some dashes on the wall into the boost pickup and attempting to beat Chronic to the ball, but doesn't get there. Forky versus First Killer will be up after this match right here on this stream. Nice save from Kep to get Chronic not to score this one. Oh my goodness, AlphaKep, the triple save, is absolutely popping off right now defensively to keep Chronic out. Who thought for sure he was going to walk away with a goal there, but instead it'll be AlphaKep back the other way. Up 3-2. And a hard-earned goal in favor of Kep. An absolute brick wall. Definitely deserves a nod. I think Chronic maybe going slightly safe on his shots, but really all of those should have been enough to secure the goal. Hard to expect AlphaKep to make such solid saves. Chronic in the air again. Not the best reset setup. And the 50 results in the ball falling down to Kep. He has to pre-flip in order to take away his shot opportunity. Chronic freestyling his recovery here, landing in reverse for really no reason at all. He had more than enough time to spin back around and land regular if he wanted to. As Chronic's Diaz challenge falls far short of the nets, and therefore does not work as a very threatening shot. Kep's going to pinch this one away. He has the lead now, as Chronic not able to get anything out of this dribble. AlphaKep pre-jumping the pop, so Chronic tried to force down, but Kep did a great job of going back down to the ground to make the save, and now going to clean up his net again. Should have a counterattack here. If he doesn't score this one, he is going to be really bummed, but 4-2 right now. Kep's defense has had the answer against Chronic. Holding Chronic to 2 goals in 3 minutes is not something many North Americans can do, and Kep has managed to do it. Now, it would be a bummer to get scored on a kickoff goal. Kep very clearly trying to get around the right side of the ball, in for his wave dash. Probably needs to get more center mass. This time he's not going to mess around with messing up the kickoff, and will fake it into his back corner. Chronic trying to make a save on the back wall. Kep missed an open opportunity that absolutely could have been a goal after Chronic made a mistake. Offered him, you know, a slightly off-center open net, but an open net all the same. That Kep shoots wide of. Chronic trying to bait Kep into racing into this ball, and it worked perfectly. 4-4. A minute 15 left to go. Kep was playing so well out of defense and countering, but hasn't had the same success trying to break down Chronic's defense. Kep on winning kickoff, and gonna go back to that flick, and why not? It worked so well before. Great top right placements. Chronic taking a wide swing, giving Kep the opportunity to set this up, and cannot intercept. Chronic is really holding on to just kickoff goals right now. Kep up 2. If he had found a way to not just quickly let a kickoff goal go right back in. Now Chronic from the side wall. Catch, flick, and the lead. It is another kickoff gone wrong for AlphaKep, as the ball forces it into his back corner, and he is unable to possess it. 55 seconds left. It does feel like a game in which Kep needs to be in the lead. He has to be dictating the game, and he's going to have a tough time trying to fight back once Chronic does have a lead. And that continues to be the case here, as you can see Kep feeling the pressure of the moment, I think, with how much time is left, going for a very optimistic challenge in Chronic's corner that does not pay off. And this is a must-score possession now for AlphaKep, who takes to the skies and does get it around Chronic. A good pace change up in his air dribble. Manages to make Chronic miss. Just a couple nice touches when maybe Chronic was expecting him to take it down for a reset or play a bit slower. Doesn't want the wall to air dribble. Chronic just pre-jumped it big time. So much faith in AlphaKep. Chronic assuming he's going to go side wall because we see so many players do this from this position, but AlphaKep just fakes it and takes it back down to the ground. A much preferable position for AlphaKep anyways, as it requires, you know, a lot less mechanical ability. Not that Kep doesn't have it. Nice low 50. Kep bringing the kickoffs back in his favor. 8-7 with 15 seconds left to go. Chronic was only in it because of kickoffs, but now that the kickoffs have been equalized, he's going to have to find a way to fight back. Delay kickoff from Chronic. He cheeses it up in the air. It works perfectly. If he gets a good first touch off the wall, maybe he could score before the Kep return, but decides not to. Instead, plays it slow. He's going to go for a double jump bump, and AlphaKep, the opposite of cringe, is able to save it. Chronic, though, will still, at 1 second left on the clock, get the bump and take him out of net. That was an epic save from AlphaKep, and if there was just 1 more second ticked off, he might have been fine. Unfortunately for him, Chronic ties it up. A ton of scoring. We are going to OT in game number 2. AlphaKep, big kickoff win. Will he decline the wall to air dribble again? See, here he does it even without the Chronic pressure. I think he prefers to play it on the ground. It is a slow dribble, and Chronic manages to send it to the back wall. Didn't cost him a lot of boost either, which means he's able to save a lot left over for this follow-up play. He will switch the field to the right wall, and now we'll take to the skies. He can be such a dangerous player. Has the resets. Lost control, though, and it's a great 50 for Kep. Might have a chance to shoot here. Chronic forced back into a save, and now picking up pads to defend against Kep in the air, who has a reset. Sent it high, but it's not the end of the world, as he makes both him and Chronic miss, and he's able to pick the ball back up in his own corner. AlphaKep flick. Chronic controlling it into his defensive corner, now on very little boost. AlphaKep's going to flick it over the top of him, and game number 2 is going to go to AlphaKep. A minute into overtime. The kickoffs back and forth, but ultimately, it's AlphaKep who comes out on top and equalizes to send it to game number 3 tied up. Your aura is too strong. GG. Chronic into a new Fennec in hopes that it can help him out here against the player he claims has insane aura. Your sources are saying AlphaKep is the truth. Care to comment on that? So far, he's on a 1-game win streak. There's no reason to believe that trend could ever change. Chronic missing the long shots as he hops into the plaid. AlphaKep from the ceiling convinced Chronic not to take those. Usually he will take any air dribble setup like that. Instead, he lets Kep fall to the ground and lets the play develop all on its own, get closer to the net before taking the air dribble. And after he saw the second fake of the jump from Kep, he decides to keep it in the air and score the first goal. Chronic flick, trying to bump Kep. He has not had a ton of success with the bump plays. Neither one of these guys have. But AlphaKep defensively has shown that Chronic is going to have to bring his A game. He's not going to be able to get away with half-hearted efforts. But this is still Chronic. And he loves himself a good wall to air dribble from the midfield. This is his specialty. And he will beat Kep with it again. Chronic chasing this down. Wanted the demo, but Didn't get it. Instead, just bumped AlphaKep out, which is probably the opposite of advantageous for him. Disadvantageous, probably, but yeah, surely that's a word. Because it actually sends Kep out ahead of him in the race to chase down the ball. A little bump and a goal for Chronic, who is seemingly locked in. And a couple minutes in is up 3-0. Has not allowed AlphaKep to have much possession. Chronic, great. Threatened all the way down after the first touch reset. I think it's the only touch he got on the ball. But he's so far away from the net as well. It's tough for Kep to try and time his challenge. Chronic gets around him. Chronic demo takes a trip out to the midfield to pick up 100 and wants to force the couple pads Kep maybe does have out of him. What a great save. Did he double that? I feel like he had to have doubled that to get that kind of power. Did he double it off the post? Just barely not on target. This one's going to have a slight angle. Chronic tries to find it. Gets post and bounce out. That was a really aggressive attempt there from Chronic. Only if Kep didn't jump at all would he have been able to find that sidewall double. And the 50 is so very likely to go unfavorably. Kep faking Chronic out to get his first goal. It's taken him a few minutes, but it's a spicy one. As he looks like he's going to get a bounce dribble setup, instead gets around the ball and cuts it away from the Chronic pre-jump. Kep. Double jump into Chronic, who survives the bump play. Kep has been trying to do a good job of maintaining possession. A lot of resets here back into his own corner. This is not the air dribble he wants, though. Chronic going to be able to take it away. But only for a moment as Kep dives. Wants to set up off the sidewall. He knows that that was not it and looked to rush back, and looks like he would have covered the angle if Chronic had put it on target, but Chronic's long shots from the length of the field so far have not been on target. They've always been just wide. A minute 15, and Chronic has clearly controlled this game. It is much lower scoring. Oh, what a save again from Kep. My goodness, and he actually had the in-and-out save follow-up for the long shot, but Chronic stuck around. AlphaKep recovers and gets himself a second goal. This is when Kep has looked best. When he has been able to make insane saves and play it out of his own half. He has looked up there with the best of them. But the problem is, it's not really a reliable way to play, is to just sit in net and allow Chronic to play offense. Only so often is he going to make mistakes that can be punished. Kep looking to try and score here. A demo will do it. Another goal out of his own half. Chronic gets first possession. He makes a save, and he just is playing this faster than Chronic is expecting. Now with 39 seconds left to go, Kep is within reach. Kep has a tying goal with 31 seconds left to go. Chronic trying to take this possession off the kickoff into his back corner. Kep with the boost advantage will steal it away and tie it up. Kep another possession on kickoff and gain number 3 to take the lead. The double jump gets intercepted by Chronic, who has been positioning close and jumping early with Kep, but he had been so in control of this game. Has to feel like he let it slip away here in the final minutes, allowing Kep 3 straights. Backflip makes him a sitting duck for potential bumps. Chronic gets up in the air, needs a pogo or some kind of pop in order to keep this up. Actually decides to low 50, kept it in the air for a second. Now it's overtime. And game number 3. 2 consecutive overtimes for Chronic and Kep. Chronic chasing down the ball is going to have a big boost disadvantage because he's electing to allow Kep to pick up the 100. Now he's going to be forced to back off. Kep out of the ceiling. Chronic steals it away. A risky challenge, it feels like, but it works out for Chronic. Another touch back to his own corner for Kep. He has been very adamant on trying to do that, but it's not going to work out this time. Kep has been attempting to reset possessions. This time, Chronic beats him to the ball and wins the game to take the lead 2-1. What did you just say? Sometimes the glaze is worth the lick. Game number 4. It is Chronic and Kep. Chronic gonna flick top left to try and make a statement here. And Kep's gonna drop him the nice one. We had yet to hear anything from him in quick chat. At least instigative. You've been waiting for Feer to do an Arm the Rebels first place run for years. Arm the Rebels has only existed for a few weeks. Certainly you haven't been waiting years. Nice aerial game from Kep. Good fakes before taking it to the ground. Chronic respecting that as he thought about the ceiling challenge and ultimately rotates back to the play from too high up. The ATR overlay was only on the left because I think Johnny booted up the wrong version of the overlay. That's my only explanation. Kickoff goals galore here as these guys score on each other each time they get a chance. Chronic looking to try and get yet another kickoff goal, but AlphaKep has shown up and is cleaning up the goal line. Bounce over for Chronic. Flick this one will get past as he makes it 3-1. Kickoff goal denied by the man with the best defense in the series so far. But the problem is he's had to play a lot more defense. And he's going to continue to have to here as Chronic just rips one to the backboard. Nowhere near on target. Kep wants to reset possession in his back corner. Gets challenged early. Wants the bump to try and demo Chronic, I'm sure, to get him out of his space, but it doesn't work out. And the boost going to spawn conveniently for Chronic, who now has Kep on very low boost. Can he find a way to pin him back here? He's going to try and stay close to the ball and see if he can't keep Kep low, but Kep able to reset the midfield 100. Too strong of a first touch. Chronic knows, but it's wide past the net. No need to worry. And this is the same Chronic that beat Daniel in Salt Mine 4. Yes, that's the one. AlphaKep gets the resets, uses it low, and gets himself scored on. Have to be a bit more accurate, getting so far underneath the ball and using a reset that low to the ground. It's going to result in a slower recovery for yourself than the defender. And Chronic uses that advantage to make it 4-1. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but it's going to work out perfectly for Kep as he just double jumps on his kickoff. Don't know if that was a finger slip, but either way, it actually worked out pretty well for him. He got first possession. Problem is Chronic takes it right back. And now is going to make it 5-1. AlphaKep in and out of the nets, leaving that top shelf available. Chronic couldn't quite find it, though. Chronic trying to side flip flick to pop this over the top of Kep. We found ourselves in a familiar position, one that I don't think Kep can really come back from, but he's proven me wrong before, which is that he has to play defense, it seems like, the entirety of the series. Last game, he got 3 counterattacks late in order to bring it back. This time, Chronic able to flip towards the ball and cancel the flip to fake it and get Kep to think he's getting a touch. A really tough play to read if you're Kep, and he did in fact jump expecting an acceleration of the ball. 6-1, and I think the lead is starting to become comfortable here for Chronic. 7-1. I don't expect Kep to quit early, as he's got a chance at another crazy comeback. This one's certainly much crazier than the 4-1 comeback, but he does still have time, and he seems to have some solid bounce dribbles here around the net. Gonna get Chronic to miss, and quickly gets past the Brazil scoreline. Chronic speed flipping out ahead of Kep, who is going to try and play on a couple pads worth of boost. Is Kep a top 100 player in rankings? Yeah, people are telling me he's top 30. That wouldn't surprise me. He's definitely, you know, been top 30, been top 50 a ton in the past, maybe even top 10 in ones. Being top 10 or being that high up is a mix of both, you know, talent and how much you play it. And he definitely has the talent that if he puts in, you know, a few games, yeah, I think he can get to top 10, top 30 for sure if he's not already there. Now, if you're Daniel or Zen or Nupo or Moxie, you don't need a ton of games, although Moxie always plays a million. You can just get to top 10 by playing 10 games or whatever, just winning all of them, and then stopping playing. But with 30 seconds left to go, I think we could safely say that this is going to be the end of the road for Kep. Now, if he had his 3-goal advantage that he's played against many pros with, and I'd say Chronic is about the level. In fact, I would say he's ahead of, you know, like the Beast Mode matchup. Chronic is a better 1v1er. GG's. Pogo? Chronic left the party and the match. I had a feeling he was going to leave. No Pogos for us. GG's. A solid performance from Kep, but not enough to take down Chronic in the first round of Arm the Rebels.